Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, the Nui channel. So today's video is going to be a review of the Netflix series Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, episodes 5 and 6. So on to today's episode. I was expecting the show to pick up exactly where the last one ended, with Yon Hagen kissing Yon Jiang, but instead it's the next morning and Jiang is aggressively smashing a dried fish and scaring the kitchen staff. And I just want to point out that the actress for Gilgam is absolutely perfect casting, and she does such a good job in her role as comic relief. And Gilgam is also the only one that believes Jiang is from the future because she has a heightened sense of smell, and Jiang has a unique scent. So Jiang makes pollock soup for the king's breakfast, and the king notices that Jiang is behaving weirdly, so he asks everyone else to leave the room. And Yan Jiang tells him she's not interested in him, and he says she was hired to be a cook and he doesn't even see her as a woman. These two are honestly so cute together. I feel like they have great chemistry and the actors play off each other so well. Anyways, it's apparent he doesn't remember what happened. So after she leaves, he calls the chief eunuch and tells the king that while he was drunk, he kissed Yang Jian. So while Jiang is walking back, she's mumbling to herself about the king, and she meets the king's jester, which is Gongil. There was a bit too much happening in the last episode with the cooking competition, so I didn't explain this part. But when Jiang needed the clams as an extra ingredient, she asked Gilgam to get it. And then Mokchu saw this and sent her own court lady to kill her. So the lady dropped her hair stick when she heard Gongil approach, and he has it now. And he realizes that that hair stick fits into the same sheath that he has. And then you cut to a flashback of who I'm guessing is his dead sister, and in her hand she was holding that sheath. So now we're introducing even more plot intrigue. Okay, why not? Let's make the story as complicated as possible. I just can't believe the premise is about a chef that goes back in time to cook for the king, when actually we have so much else going on. But I do like it though. And this episode is turning out to be so funny as well. In the next scene, the chief secretary is trying to ask the king if the rumor is true that he kissed Jiang the night before. But instead of just saying it to him, he purses his lips in a kiss. And the king does the same until he realizes the meaning. Oh, well then anyways, the king says that Jiang should be grateful, but instead she's acting even more unattractive. And the chief secretary convinces him that he needs to figure out what she likes and get her a gift so that she becomes less unattractive. And by that, I think they mean less annoying to him. So the king keeps reliving the past about how his mother was dragged out of the palace. And as he's walking, he realizes he's walking towards the royal kitchen and wonders why, whenever his heart feels heavy, he thinks of Yon Jiang. And I can't take it, it's too cute. So he turns back though, and in the evening he refuses to eat his meal. Jiang prepares a meal anyway, and it looks delicious. It's a French cream stew with chicken, but he refuses. Then he refuses an omelette dish as well, and a fish dish for the next meal, the next day's meal. And then he refuses the evening meal as well. So it's been about 2 days without eating anything. Plus, the king doesn't want to see anyone. There's another cute moment when Jiang is looking at the moon but sees the king's face, and then she scolds herself for going crazy. And meanwhile, the king also looks at the moon and he thinks of Jiang, and his stomach starts growling. So then he wonders if he's hungry because he's thinking of her, or if he's thinking of her because he's hungry. That night, he's finally ready to eat, and they prepare chicken soup for him. And honestly, I've gone days without eating before. Don't want to get into that, but when I'm finally ready to eat, after that period, I don't feel like having something light. I want like fried, greasy chops, eggs, mash, sausages, like that kind of thing. I'm not sure if it's just me. So the king has his physical the next day and his uncle, the Grand Prince, comes to visit. Mokju decides she's going to prepare the meal, but that just means telling the chef what she wants him to make. Yeonjiang decides to make her own meal because she follows the king's instructions and he didn't tell her not to cook the meal. So this episode is called Snowflake Schnitzel and it honestly looks good. And I can't even compare it to the cold chicken dumplings dish that Mokju presents. Although I've never considered dipping the schnitzel in jam like they do in this episode. To me, food actually, like actual food, not dessert or whatever, should not be sweet. So the king takes Jiang to the gardens next, and it turns out this is the first greenhouse. I'm not sure if it's first greenhouse in Korea or of the world, whatever. So looking around, she finds chilies in the poison section and gets excited. The chief secretary found her handbag and gives it to the king to present to her because he's still playing matchmaker to get rid of Mokju. Yeonhagen gives her the bag and asks if she forgives him about the kiss. She asks why he cares, and he tries to play it off by saying it's because he's happy with the food she prepares, but he starts walking backwards and then trips, dragging Yeonji-young with him. And so that's how the episode ends, this time with Yeonji-young on top of the king. And this time it makes more sense because firstly, he's not crying or drunk. Secondly, it seems like both of them are really warming up to the other. So episode 6 picks up exactly where episode 5 ends. They're in the garden and Yeonji-young is on top of the king. She quickly gets up though, and when she realizes her hand is scraped, the king takes it and blows on it. And I think this is the first moment when her feelings for the king start to develop. Before this, there were moments when she noticed he's handsome, but in this moment she realizes he can be caring as well. I'd completely forgotten about the bag situation, but when she searches the bag to show the king Mangun Rock, the book is not there. The king promises he'll send troops to search the forest for it. And then the next scene, it's just a filler scene and it doesn't really progress the plot. The kitchen staff have alcohol and Yeonji-young gets extremely drunk and starts singing and dancing. So I know I said it's not important, but I just want to point out that it really looks like Imuna is having fun with this role and giving it 110%. You would think they'll try to make her character act young and naive, typical of rom-com heroines, but Yeonji-young is realistic, expressive, very funny. And I think that's because the actress is so talented and experienced. I'm just comparing this character to the role Imuna played in the K2, and it's so different and hard to believe they were both played by the same actress. So after that, they have foreign envoys that visit. They're Chinese from the Ming Dynasty and don't speak Korean, so they have a translator with them. On top of that, they don't want to eat Joseon food and have 3 chefs that double as bodyguards that they brought with them. The envoy does tell them that he's curious about Yeonji-young, so it looks like there's going to be another cooking competition. And I'm not complaining though. Honestly, the way they filmed the food preparation and presentation is very cool. This episode is called Black Sesame Macaron, and I love it. So I've only tried macarons twice. Both times was about 3 to 4 years ago now. It was like a chocolate macaron, but I still remember it was kind of chewy, gooey, very yummy. So Yeonji-young makes her own butter and she makes the macarons for the envoy. Then the king and the envoy decide that they will resolve this negotiation they were having about trading by this cooking competition between the envoy's 3 chefs and the king. So it seems simple enough, but then the chief secretary and his men, as well as Mokju and her chef, all plan to make sure the Joseon team loses. It's actually quite clever because even if the Joseon side comes out worse in the trade, it helps them prove their case that the king is unfit and making poor decisions by holding this competition with something so important on the line. Which is a fair point. You can have all the faith possible in Yeonjiang's capability, but this is the nation's economy on the line. And even Yeonjiang hesitates, but then he holds her freedom on the line. If she fails or doesn't want to compete, he'll charge her with treason and kill her. And I mean, at this point, it's an empty threat. He's so obviously smitten, and everyone around him seems aware of this except the two of them. So Yeonjiang believes the threat and agrees to participate. Next, the king and Yeonjiang go to the mill house to crush the dried chilies in preparation for the competition, while these two are strolling around, falling in love, and having like cutesy moments. Back at the royal kitchen, one of the Ming chefs insults the Joseon cook's chopping skills. So they put poor Chef Min, who's their youngest, against the Ming chef, and in a chopping competition, since she's the youngest from her group as well. While shopping, Yeonjiang gets him irises for his bedroom, and he gets her the keychain she was looking at, and also a whole new wardrobe. When she returns that afternoon to the royal kitchen, the mood is bleak. Not only did the Ming chef beat Chef Min, but the entire lot of them in the chopping competition. Anyways, Yeonjiang is able to rally them, and everyone agrees they'll help to make sure the Joseon team wins. She tries to do a fighting cheer, but in Joseon times, they have no idea what she's talking about. So the episode ends with the king and envoy selecting the themes for the 3 dishes. First, they need to make a new meat dish. In the second round, they need to make a dish of the opposite country's cuisine. And last, they need to make a ginseng soup, which is actually a Ming specialty. So the Joseon side would be at a disadvantage. I love the competitions more than the political intrigue, to be honest. It's shot so well, the writing and direction is so well executed, and the actors do a fantastic job portraying the tension. I can't wait for the next episode. Before we go, I just want to give a quick life update. I do have an interview on Monday for a new job. I'm praying all goes well, because right now I'm so broke that my cousin is going to lend me the money for transport to even get to that interview. Before you go, be sure to like this video, maybe even leave a comment and subscribe as well. I would love to eventually build an audience here. Thanks for watching, and bye.